Mahama has granted amnesty to 998 prisoners following a recommendation from the country's Prison Service Council. The council had initially sought pardon for 1,014 individuals ranging from the death row to first-time offenders. The country's presidency says those granted amnesty, over 80 death row prisoners, will have their sentences converted to life imprisonment. The decision has been welcomed by a number of human rights organizations. For look at Mahama's tenure so far and what his latest actions mean for the country, Political Science University of Ghana's Kwame Asah-Asante joins us. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us.
Good evening.
Let's just start with this move. Is it unusual? Has it been done before, especially looking at the number of prisoners who have had their sentences commuted or who are being released?
I think this is not news. We have seen it time and again. Our constitution, per Article 72(1), gives the president the power to give pardon to people who have wronged the state one way or the other. And this exercise is part of the president's mandate. So it's actually not new at all.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that there's precedence and it's part of the president's prerogative. So we understand that 787 first-time offenders are going to be released, 87, as I said, commuted to death row. Now, what has been the reaction from ordinary Ghanaians, given that these are people who were imprisoned for a reason?
We have not seen much in terms of people's reaction because, as I've already alluded to, this is always done from time to time. So it is not new, and that Ghanaians have always welcomed that. The only side of it or side issue is that some were of the view that some people who have been recently incarcerated and they were making, they were part and parcel of the social media, fraternity, and they were making a lot of statements on social media. One would have thought that they would be part of that process, but even took a different turn. They are not part of it. So that is what it is now.
Right, so as you say, this is not a function of his leadership, his presidency. He's exercising a prerogative of pardoning prisoners, which his predecessors before have done. But your thoughts on the Mahama presidency, the second time around, especially it's more than 100 days since he's come into power, so it's probably doubled that. Just your summation of what he's done thus far, and if there have been any changes from what led to him losing the presidency in the first place.
Yeah, we have seen considerable improvement in his governance style, given the fact that he had occupied the office before. You realize that he came in this time fully prepared, and some of the wrongs that his administration committed, he's trying to reset them. Take, for instance, issue of dealing with corruption. So far, we have not heard anything or seen anything yet. Even though the government is about 7 months old, issue of corruption always reared their ugly heads in the administration of the state in Ghana. But so far, so very good.
Not on just in Ghana, but he himself, apologies for jumping in, Kwame, but not just in Ghana, he himself has been accused of corruption.
Very well, very well. But if you compare his administration to the recent one that ended, you realize that in terms of corruption perception index from Transparency International, Mahama's government was far more better than Nana Akufo-Addo's government. That is a fact. But come to look at issue of galamsey, that is illegal small-scale mining.
I do apologize for jumping in again. Are you saying that the perception of the level of corruption is better, or his level of corruption was better than Nana Akufo-Addo? Just seeking clarification.
I'm talking about the level of corruption in Mahama's government compared to that of Nana Akufo-Addo's government. From the Transparency International speaks volume that Mahama had done better than Nana Akufo-Addo. That is a fact.
I understand that, sir. But again, I will ask the question. You are stating it, and I'm asking you, are you saying he is better in terms of the levels, as in lower levels of corruption, or are we talking about better in terms of the perception of commission of corruption? I'm seeking clarification of that.
Yeah, I'm talking about perception, as we know, because you see, corruption, you and I know, is very difficult to find. So once you don't have a mechanism of knowing it offhand, then you rely on other state or international organizations that are able to feed you with that. And that is where I am coming from.
All right, so let's go to the galamsey. You can continue your point there.
Yes, then the thorny issue of illegal small-scale mining, which has been a very disturbing issue in this country against the backdrop that our environment is being destroyed with alacrity, and that water bodies are destroyed, farmlands are destroyed, and all that. That was one of the issues that became a central theme in the campaign in the last election. So this time around, we have seen that even though the government has been in office for a very short time, we have seen at least a little improvement compared to the previous administration. The government has put in a body that takes on the responsibility of looking at some of the forest and some of the water bodies to make sure that those activities are kept to the barest minimum. We have also seen the fact that the Ministry of Lands and Forestry is also doing a lot in terms of preparation towards amending some of the legislative instruments that enable people to mine in water bodies and forests and all that. They are trying to work on that. In addition to that, they have started engaging the chiefs, the traditional rulers, whose lands these activities take place. They're trying to form groups of committees that they will oversee some of these things and prevent it from happening. So this administration is doing well in that direction. That aside, the economy has been also kept very well. If you look at the health of the economy, it is better than the previous administration.
All right.
Inflation
Just before we get to
down.
the economy in full, let's talk about illegal mining, because there have been critics in Ghana of the proliferation of illegal mining, particularly on protected heritage sites, forests. Are you saying that there's nothing the president can do to improve that?
Yes, the president, as I've said, he has put in a number of groups and then opinion leaders who are working at that. That is much of an improvement compared to the previous administration, where we saw very little of this.
Okay, so can we talk about concrete steps? What is the state of the situation? What is he doing? Because I don't want us to have an interview where we sanitize President John Dramani Mahama. We may have great admiration for him, but given the fact that this is a platform where we seek to give people the true nature and picture of the situation, can we talk about his failings as well? So what does he need to do to improve the situation?
Oh, definitely. I am, and this I want to put on record that I'm not here to glorify anybody. I'm speaking as a political scientist, and my image is more important than everything that I do. So I acknowledge that the government has done something in this direction, but the painful truth is that galamsey continues to happen. So it tells you that going forward, the government needs to double up its effort to be able to stamp out this thing from our society once and for all. And that is what we are looking forward to, because today we still have Galamsey, and then through some of the activities, the program they want to embark upon, that led to the plane crash, which the helicopter crash, which you are very much aware of, and all that. It tells you that the problem is still lingering on. But so far, this is what government has done.
So let's talk about the economy. President Mahama has promised to reset the country in line with the economy. What has he initiated, particularly in the first 100 days, that appears to be sustainable? And what are the challenges, the headwinds that he faces?
Yeah, for the positives, we have seen where he has introduced the gold board. The gold board is a body that sees to the purchase and sale of what gold. Now that if any human being who want to buy gold in Ghana, you have to talk to the board. And where you want to send it outside the country, the board will do that on your behalf. That has really dealt with the problem of the gold being smuggled out of the borders of Ghana and all that. And it has raking within a short time about $7 billion. Remember, this country has gone to IMF to seek for $3 billion. And within just 7 months, if the government has been able to rake in about $7 billion, then we are saying that thumbs up. We have also seen the issue of borrowing. Now the government doesn't borrow because there is a lot that the government need to pay in terms of our previous arrangement with the IMF and some of the conditionalities that borrowing had to be checked on that. And you've seen inflation reduce. So it goes to tell you that something is being done to make the economy grow better. Of course, we have also seen the issue of the CD stabilizing against dollar. And that is also an issue. But the point must be made that standard of living is still high, and that some people struggle to make a living. And it tells you that there's more that the government need to do. Even though all that I've said, if you weigh it against unemployment, there's still large army of youth who are parading the street of Ghana without jobs. It is important that the government comes in to fix that problem, because that one, we have not seen any figure yet in terms of how many people had government employed and all that. We haven't seen that. And there continue to be large amount of or large army of youth who are without jobs. That is a very, very serious issue that we expect the government to be able to handle in no time.
And I'm glad you raised the issue of the youth, because they were central, pivotal to the changing of the tide in terms of who's at the helm in Ghana. You speak about Nana Akufo-Addo and his presidency. Taxation laws were something that came in for heavy criticism. The high cost of living, particularly the protests that we saw amongst the youth. What are the low-hanging fruits that President Mahama can lean on in ensuring that he improves unemployment, that he lowers taxes and improves the cost of living?
Taking taxes, for instance, some of the taxes which his government described as nuisance taxes have been abolished. But of course, some continue to remain on our books. For instance, the e-levy, electronic transfer tax, has been abolished. But the downside of it is that the government has also introduced energy sector levy of 1 CD payment that Ghanaians ought to make in buying a liter of petrol. The whole explanation was that the government was going to use that money to, as it were, deal with the heavy debt burden that confronts the country's electricity company. And that has been a difficult one for Ghanaians to take, because it amounts to robbing Peter to pay Paul. Here you are saying that the e-levy is so high and that you have abolished, you promised the people that when given the nod, you abolish. Certainly you have abolished it. But why do you introduce another 1 CD? And for me, that beats my imagination, even though I acknowledge that the debt burden within the energy sector is huge. But I thought that the government would have looked for other means of addressing that one than introducing a tax when initially you have condemned a tax from e-levy and then in no time you have introducing another one. That becomes problematic. There are a number of taxes that continue to be in our books, and it also undermines productivity in the country. I expect the government to move swiftly in there so that you create that enabling environment for people to be able to do business and do business well. I also expect that for the youth, there are a lot of places that they can put them so as to be able to generate jobs. For instance, the issue of illegal mining. You can put them into groups where the government, they will obtain license from formal process and go through formal training and be equipped with the skills so that they can mine without affecting the environment. Yes, that I believe that government, even though government has started a little bit, it should be able to double its efforts, because that area can accommodate a large group of people in there who are without skills. They can be employed there and then make a living. And I believe that that is a critical point that the government need to factor into. Quite apart from that, we have a lot of fruits and other food crops that it need to be processed. I believe that if the government really want to change the structure of the country's economy, which has been the bane of the country, then we should go into industrialization by adding value to some of these things so as to be able to create jobs for people with little or no skills, and of course those even with skills and without jobs.
Mr. Kwame Asah-Asante, thank you very much for your time and sharing your insights with us. He's a political scientist at the University of Ghana, just speaking to us about not only President Mahama's presidency, since he is taking up his second bite, so to speak, of the presidency of Ghana, but also following a decision to release 998 prisoners, saying it's really nothing new. It's something that has been done in Ghana before by his predecessors as well.
Tsepiso Makwetla winds it down on Africa World Hour, 9 to 10 p.m.
Now, the